Over the last few months, we've been talking about the trials and tribulations for independent news and politics on YouTube. And a viewer posted on our subreddit a question that brings up a really interesting point about all this, which is, might left-wing YouTube channels like the David Pakman Show and so many others, might we simply be collateral damage in the serious fight against extremism on YouTube? I want to take this seriously, but first let me sort of catch you up on what's been going on if you haven't heard. YouTube over the last year has been deprioritizing our content. We have had a reduction by about 2/3 or more in terms of the views that we get by YouTube's algorithm saying, oh, you like this other news and politics thing? Go and check out the David Pakman Show. They have increasingly been saying, go and check out CNN's YouTube channel or Fox News's or the mega corporate late night talk shows, not the David Pakman Show. That costs us views, so it costs us money. YouTube has been limiting monetization on anything considered even remotely controversial or sensitive in nature. When you cover news and politics, everything you talk about is potentially sensitive or controversial in nature. So that's not been good. So then in comes subreddit user Nudie, which the David Pakman Show subreddit, of course, at davidpakman.com/REDDIT. And Nudie says, I recently became a new subscriber of the David Pakman Show, both because I want to support the channel now that YouTube is demonetizing content and because I prefer the ad-free experience. I have experienced the same issues that have been reported by David. YouTube suggestions inevitably lead me back to American mainstream corporate media, even when I rarely follow up on those suggestions. Super done with Rachel Maddow, for example, but they keep pushing her. However, and this is the key part, I don't consider the new YouTube algorithm to be a bad thing. Like many, many others, I have had an angry anti-SJW phase that was largely pushed by a YouTube algorithm that drove me from Sam Harris debates evangelicals videos to Sargon and beyond. Radicalization on YouTube is a real problem. David, Secular Talk, and a few other progressive independent media shows might just be collateral damage in a very necessary move to stop people from being radicalized by a recommendations mechanism that drives them into a far-right conspiratorial fake news swamp. I do hope David will address this possible upside of the new algorithm at some point in the show. What if it helps stop Trump being reelected in 2020? In a sense, this viewer is exactly right. YouTube didn't go out and say, we hate independent news. Let's figure out a way to hurt independent news. Or even more so, let's figure out a way to hurt left-wing news or right-wing news on YouTube. We are collateral damage, but not of YouTube wanting to rid itself of extremism because they think it's the right thing. The truth is YouTube as an institution cares about what is profitable. Extremism actually is very profitable in a sense, in terms of watch time. When people get stuck in these echo chamber rabbit holes of extremist content, if the content is monetized, it is massively profitable for YouTube. So YouTube as an institution doesn't care about extremism per se. We're collateral damage of YouTube wanting to preserve its profit and make as much money as possible. I talked about this on the Joe Rogan program back in June. The path is simple. We want to make money. When advertisers get upset, we don't make money as YouTube. To keep advertisers happy, we need to pull monetization from extremist and racist content, and we need to make sure that that content is less searchable and less recommended. So let's put in place an algorithm that whitelists legacy corporate channels and then basically just makes guesses about independent content. And yeah, the David Pakman Show and Secular Talk and others get caught in that collateral damage. Now, there is a solution here. Channels like ours could be whitelisted. The David Pakman Show covers things like white supremacy. We cover racism. We cover breaking news. But we do it in an FCC safe way. And we are not advocating for extremism. We are fighting it. A real person or people could look at our channel and say, we are going to whitelist the David Pakman Show so that we keep recommending his videos to the within the algorithm, so that monetization continues at a higher rate, because we don't want him to be collateral damage to everything that we are doing. And in the meantime, over the weekend, lots of people I was surprised to hear from, some prominent people, actually got in touch with me and said, David, You've been talking about this for months. I am now seeing it as well. How can I help? What can I do? But in practice, the simplest thing everybody can do, some version of fund the shows you want to support directly. That's what it is. And I know people get mad and say, David, I watch 20 shows. I can't support all of them directly. You're asking me to spend $200 a month just on internet shows. Well, then pick a couple if you can afford it. If you can't, then don't. But the whole point is we have a system in place, membership, Patreon, which allows people to get around all of these issues and just say, I like what you're doing. I'm going to support it directly. You don't have to worry about monetization or demonetization. Doesn't have to be my show. That really is the path forward. A lot of people have been saying it for a long time, and it's never been more clear than it is now.